Oh man, folks, I don't even know how to go through with this one. So I'm just going to read this to y'all. Going through my nightly news tonight, switching over to pop culture news because politics is a cesspool and sometimes you got to switch out. So, reading through some pop culture news, and I came across a report from cosmicbook.news. It's a really interesting article from cosmicbook.news. So, Cosmic Book News and Matt McGloin is the writer. I want to put this out there. So what they've said is, so if you guys haven't followed, if you haven't followed, the breakdown and everything that's gone, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard another edition of Posto Patrol. Welcome aboard Posto Patrol. Glad to have you all here. So why was it that the final X-Men movie was a complete and utter failure? Why were the Rotten Tomato scores so bad? Why was the edit of this so bad? Why was everything that went down with this movie so bad? The marketing was poor. The editing was really poor. People said there were massive scenes that seemed like they were cut out of it. There was stuff that didn't make sense. It was a disaster. Now there's a new report, and this is so long, so I'm going to link this one down. There's no way I can read this whole report because there's so much going on. But there's been a leak, basically. There's a leak with this, according to this report from Cosmic Book News, Disney edited the film after they bought X-Men from Fox earlier this year. That Disney edited the film to purposely make it bad so that nobody would possibly challenge Captain Marvel and Brie Larson, who are now supposed to be the face of the MCU. So Disney, according to this report, actually edited down the movie, changed lines, cut out major scenes with the villain of the film, and that there's actually an extended cut. This isn't the first time this has happened. Certainly, it's happened in DC before with we call it the Kinberg cut. It's similar to what happened with Zack Snyder, Batman versus Superman, and Justice League. So these are the Snyder cuts, right? That what's going on. So no, folks. Here's you got to understand the backstory. Disney just bought Fox. They bought the X-Men from Fox, and they bought a lot of the stuff from Fox. But Fox had already made this movie before the merger went through, before the acquisition went through. And so Disney is now releasing. So think of it. Disney is now in charge of releasing a movie that's not part of the MCU. So the MCU is like this, the big shared universe, the Avengerverse that's going on. But the X-Men were never part of that because it's a huge long backstory, but Fox owned the X-Men. That's basically what comes down to. So Fox is the one that put this movie together. They put together all the other X-Men movies going all the way back to 2000. So 19 years of X-Men movies. So this one was the first movie and was possibly going to be the only movie that Disney released, all right, of the X-Men. And there's a lot of rumors that Disney is going to reboot the X-Men. But what this report is saying is that Disney didn't want the movie to do well, so they edited it down. They said that the execs changed gears late in production and that it only been one movie. They were actually going to do a two-part movie. And for anyone who's an X-Men fan like myself, you would know that Jean Grey becoming Phoenix and to becoming Dark Phoenix is actually an extended story arc. So Disney didn't want the movie to do well because it would completely destroy their narrative. And by the way, if you do the Dark Phoenix story well, that story arc is known as being one of the all-time best X-Men story arcs that exist. Period. It's one of the best. It's absolutely fantastic. But Disney, keep in mind, they didn't want anyone. They didn't want anyone at all, right, to do anything that would overshadow Captain Marvel and Brie Larson. So let me read a little bit from this report. Regarding Captain Marvel and Brie Larson, while promoting the release of Captain Marvel amid fan backlash, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige told fans, "She's one of the most popular characters and one of the most powerful characters in the comics, and will be the most powerful character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. One of the highlights of my career at Marvel was introducing her at Comic-Con and having her come out on stage and stand there with literally everyone else from our universe. And there she was at the forefront. And it was a foreshadowing, not just of how our audiences are going to embrace Brie as this character, but also how Captain Marvel is about to take the lead and be the forefront of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm going to continue in the article here. Well, what would have happened if audiences favored and liked Sophie Turner and Jean Grey and the Dark Phoenix movie more than Brie Larson and Captain Marvel? As Dark Phoenix was supposed to be released prior, originally Dark Phoenix was going to be released prior to Captain Marvel. How was Marvel Studios and Disney ever going to promote Captain Marvel as the first Marvel female superhero movie if Dark Phoenix got released in November 2018 or February 2019 before Captain Marvel came out? Phage said himself that Brie Larson and Captain Marvel are taking the lead and will be at the forefront of the Marvel universe. Well, that could not have happened, folks, if Dark Phoenix and the X-Men and Jean Grey and Sophie Turner came out on top. Certainly, if the fans, even if the general audience, the wide audience, saw the original, better version of Dark Phoenix prior to Captain Marvel, then they would have second-guessed everything that Phage and Marvel Studios were doing, even going so far as accusing Captain Marvel of ripping off Dark Phoenix. Again, Phage, Marvel, and Disney were not about to let that happen because billions of dollars were at stake. So think about it. The original plan was that Dark Phoenix was going to be a two-part movie. But at some point, he was forced to make it into one movie, Simon Kinberg. And then for some other reason, he was decided to cut the runtime, got cut, the scenes got cut, dialogue got changed, the release date was changed not once but twice from November 2018. So this is supposed to be like a holiday movie going in, and then they changed it all the way to June 2019 release in the wake of Captain Marvel. So they delayed this movie to come out after Captain Marvel. The movie was never intended as a summer film. It was a darker and psychologically complex movie, much more so than any of the Marvel movies or any of the other X-Men movies. It was always seen as an off-season release. And the original plan was to get out ahead of Captain Marvel and be the first female-led Marvel movie. Well, folks, you know, Disney was not about to let that happen. So the question then becomes that prior to the acquisition going on, when exactly did they start interfering with the Dark Phoenix movie? When exactly did these changes, these edits, these reshoots all begin to take place? That is the much needed question that we have to answer. According to fans who have viewed the longer cut of the film, it would have been an extended version with 22 minutes of more footage. Fans that viewed the two different cuts of the Phoenix movie offer lines were changed in the theatrical version of the film that took away from the much better extended version. The theatrical release of Dark Phoenix has a runtime of less than 2 hours. However, the first two X-Men movies before this were 2.5 hours in length. A much better cut of this movie exists that would have better fleshed out the story, included more action, improved dialogue, and a worthwhile villain. And now the article goes on, folks. The article goes on. If you want to go check this out, it's cosmicbook.news. It really, really goes through. I'll skim through because there's so many details of like the differences between the two versions that you really, really have to check all this stuff out. At one point, it says that Jessica Chastain actually signed on to play Lilandra. If you guys know anything about X-Men, if you know anything about the background, Lilandra is the major character in the Phoenix Saga. That now we're talking outer space battles. Now we're talking about the Shi'ar Empire. So really, really big space opera type stuff that was just completely cut early on. So listen to some of the stuff though. Prior to the Disney and Fox deal going through, did Disney have anything to do with Fox Studios? According to a Fox leaker, Disney execs were spotted on set of the movie. It's claimed that Disney execs were keeping an eye on things during the transition and were actively involved as they wanted to make a clean slate of things. Again, I'm reading this from cosmicbook.news. While some may scoff at the idea of Disney being involved or outright interfering with Fox prior to the merger, we are talking about billions and billions of dollars here. So Disney having some sort of involvement doesn't seem that far-fetched. What seems probable? Okay, I'm reading from cosmicbook.news. Simon Kinberg and Fox Studios decided originally to make an epic two-part Dark Phoenix movie. Word of the Disney-Fox deal came down from on high, so he was forced to make it only one film. As it's only one film, a lot had to be changed, such as the villains. Meanwhile, Disney and Marvel Studios were developing Captain Marvel, which starred Brie Larson, which was to become the new face of the new MCU following the Avengers Endgame and the original Avengers actors leaving. She was going to be the first female Marvel superhero, not Dark Phoenix and Sophie Turner. And the problem is that Dark Phoenix and Captain Marvel, just they seem similar, right? They seem definitely similar. Audiences will first see Sophie didn't want her to be the first cosmically empowered character that involves aliens, right? That's basically that's what Phoenix is, right? So if you take it out from like a 30,000-foot view, from the the view of just a casual audience goer, it's going to seem very similar. Disney then told Fox to change things for Dark Phoenix, including plot details and the release date. So it says, look for Simon Kinberg, because he went along with this, look for him to be involved with Disney and Marvel Studios in the future, right? So if we see Simon Kinberg becoming more involved with Marvel Studios, that's going to be a big indication that he agreed to these cuts, rewrites, edits, reshoots, including the similar ending, to make it along with Disney's agenda, so that he went along with it. So Captain Marvel, of course, came out, billion-dollar gross. The Disney-Fox deal officially went through two weeks later. Then Dark Phoenix got released and completely failed. Then Fox is blamed for the Dark Phoenix failure, though we knew for at least 2 months it fell under Disney, and it was known prior to the deal that employees left and were replaced. Wow. So here's some more of the leakers from Fox. In the two-parter, Jessica Chastain was to play Lalandra of the Shi'ar, not an obscure villain. That if you notice, a lot of her lines come from off stage in the new film, which means they were added after filming had already been done. Scott and Jean had more of a relationship. Man, I said I wasn't going to go into this, and now I'm going into it because I'm actually getting into it. So, all right, I'm getting into it. There was a Hank and Raven scene that was extended where Hank was going to leave with her. Xavier is supposed to leave the banquet. I haven't actually watched the movie, but Jessica Chastain was talking with alien people about humans, the Phoenix Force, the mutants. The inhabitants of Genosha were first scared of Jean Grey. Carpe Downcom is here, and he says I should be doing this as comic book guy. Very well. I will now be doing the rest of the interview as comic book guy. Magneto's line was cut in the theatrical release. It was supposed to say, I've seen evil. I know what it looks like when it's staring back at me, and I'm looking at it now. Jessica Chastain and the Jean Bar cut scene was cut short, with Chastain stating, if you think you don't belong me, you don't need me. Some of Storm was cut. She had a line stating, where Scott goes, I go. And if he needs me, I'll be there at the end of the discussion. All of Storm and Celine's fight choreography was cut. Celine didn't even use her powers as Nightcrawler. Well, you see, here's what we had to do, folks. We had to make sure that Captain Marvel was going to be the only female superhero character that you'd ever see and that you ever like. You can't like that Dark Phoenix by Sophie Turner. Oh no. We gotta do everything we can to sabotage this movie. That's right. We're gonna cut it. We're gonna cut the Shi'ar Empire out of it. We're gonna make it some obscure character no one's ever heard of. You're gonna hate it. Fox is gonna lose everything. We're gonna lose money just to screw over one of our best movies. To help up Brie Larson because she needs all the help she can get. Oh, she does. She's not a very good actress, and she doesn't have anything, doesn't really know how to connect with an audience. I have trouble breathing when I do that. I'm not gonna lie. I have trouble breathing when I do that. Did you guys see that Justin Bieber challenged Tom Cruise to an MMA fight? He's like, all right, Tom Cruise. All right, here's what we're gonna do. Tom Cruise, we want you to go right now, and I challenge you to MMA. That's mixed martial arts fighting, Tom Cruise. We need you to get in there and attack Tom Cruise. You may be 56 and I may be 25, but that's fine. I want to challenge Tom Cruise to fight in the octagon. Tom, if you don't take this fight, you're scared. We'll never live down. Who is willing to put on a fight? Dana White? Bieber tweeted that earlier last night. It's currently up to 182,000 tweets, and over 69,300 people are talking about this fact. The tweet has been covered by all the mainstream media, been liked over so many times. Conor McGregor even offered his business to host the fight, with McGregor further adding that he challenges actor Mark Wahlberg. Who should I challenge? I don't know. Well, now we're also hearing some news that apparently Alfred Pennyworth in the new Batman movie is going to be a female. I don't know, it doesn't sound like a really good idea to me. I mean, how woke is it if a female Batman is the one making the sandwiches and fixing the bat suit? Is she going to be ironing Batman's cape? That doesn't sound very woke to me. It doesn't sound very, excuse me, that doesn't sound very woke. It doesn't sound exactly very, social justice-y. I'm not sure what exactly the main situation is there with that. There's been a lot of drama going on now in the right, and I really have a huge issue with that, of course. So that is why we are talking about drama at Disney and Fox. We are spilling tea over there instead of spilling tea over here. That's right, folks. This is sort of the neoconservative version of gossip. We spill the tea over there so they can't spill the tea over here. It's sort of the neocon version of gossip, right? Sort of your Nikki Haley, Dan Crenshaw version of gossip. We're going to steal their tea before they spill ours. It's kind of a George Soros kind of thing. Or no, excuse me, George W. Bush kind of thing right there. You know, you see, says, Daddy, I said, I'm gonna spill some tea. I'm going to spill some tea over here before I can spill some tea over there. That's right. I'm going to be president. I'm president of the United States of America. I'm going to be the first president there ever was of America. And that's what I'm going to say, Daddy. We're going to go to Iraq. We're going to go mess them up. You're more like the cable guy, Carpe. Here's my impression of Carpe Dunkum. Let's make memes. Memes are great. Jack, I'm gonna make memes. It's gonna be so good. Just watch. Memes are gonna flow. Just gotta get the vape. Just gotta get the vape right. There it is. When the vape hits. Oh yeah. I don't even know. I don't even know what's going on right now. This is bad. This is very bad. Delete this episode of the Postocast from your minds. He can't do one of me because nobody out there can perform the dulcet tones of Poso. You find me anybody that can do the Poso voice because you can't. You simply can't. You may try. You may try so hard, but you're not going to find anyone who has the creamy, buttery, delicious, and delectable dulcet tones of Poso. Can't be done, folks. It simply cannot be done. And I'm afraid that's where I'm going to have to leave it now, folks. So, from myself here at Poso Patrol headquarters, located deep within the heart of the swamp, I bid you adieu. And as always, out there in Poso Nation, ladies and gentlemen, you do have my permission to lay ashore.